I'll just know where I'm at. And you'll have to excuse me this morning. I do really try to speak without notes. But I will explain towards the end of my message this morning that our life has been thrown into beautiful, wonderful chaos in the last 24 hours. So, that's fine. So as we go along, I'll explain. And prosperity is certainly calling in our lives in the most wonderful, wonderful way. So prosperity is calling, as you, I guess, know, that our life over the last 5 years or so has been one of discovering the truth regarding prosperity. We've certainly gone through the valley of lack and limitation, and have finally, climbed at least halfway up the mountain, and we're heading towards that light of understanding of what true prosperity really is in our lives. And Bill and I feel totally blessed. And part of that prosperity too is me being able to stand here in front of such a beautiful group of people and share my thoughts. And for that I am truly thankful. So my definition of prosperity, I'm not sure what yours is, but I like to look at prosperity as a whole, a holistic approach. As you know, and I don't need to tell you, that you can have all the money in the world, you can have the beautiful car, you can have the house on the hill, but we need prosperity as a whole within ourselves. And the prosperity that I want to talk about this morning is something totally different. It's that total feeling of truth within you, that you are a prosperous person without any of those things around you. So my definition of prosperity is to be totally healthy, financially free, having loving relationships, having a happy and joy-filled life, an enjoyable and fulfilling career, and a constantly growing understanding of spirituality. And when I was typing this, I thought, isn't it funny that we always seem to put spirituality or spiritual last in our list? Like we have, how many times have I read in books, physically, emotionally, and spiritually? It's kind of like a little added extra, isn't it? And like, the Mind, Body, Spirit Festival. So we seem to tack it on the end in all that we say and we write and we do. And yet, the truth is that, well, these are the truths for me anyway. I'm just sharing them with you. Please take what you wish and leave the rest. The truth is that until we have grown our spiritual understanding of what it takes to be prosperous, we just don't see it in our lives. And the truth is, unless we grow on the inside, we will not see the prosperous results on the outside. And the truth is, the wisest person amongst us will always put the spiritual first, knowing that if he or she grabs hold of that prosperous truth, that prosperity will flow abundantly in a never-ending, forever expanding and growing stream of goodness. How long has it taken me to understand this? A long time, I just had a birthday a couple of weeks ago. I could honestly say about 62 years, and it's still growing. And every day I have to work on this. But if Joshua took 40 years to cross the Jordan into the Promised Land, I figured I can work a few more months, or maybe days, or one day at a time anyway, at understanding the prosperity, the spiritual growth that I need in order to grow the spiritual stuff or the physical stuff on the outside, or to manifest that. So, and, you know, every day I ask Joshua, the spirit of Joshua and the spirit of Moses, to walk beside me, because I understand that, and please tell me if I'm wrong, Moses had the knowledge of prosperity. Joshua had the love of the law. And so with that love of the law, so even if it's not working quite right now in my life, can I love the law and the truth enough to hold on to it for another day and say, well, I don't really care what's going on around me. I'm going to hang on to this truth because I know eventually I'll cross my Jordan into my promised land. So that's what, you know, that's what I try to hold on to every day. And I know the truth is that I have to now start saying the Spiritual Mind and Body Festival. And I'm growing spiritually, emotionally, and physically. So I'm turning it around so I can grab hold of that. But we know here at Unity, we're a step ahead. Come on, girls and boys. That there is really only one truth that we have to understand for our prosperity to flow. And that is our first unity principle. I mean, how simple is it? Oh, duh. God is good. God is absolute good and everywhere present. I better get it right. There is only one power and one presence active in the universe and in my life. God, the good, omnipotent. God is the source and creator of all. There is no other enduring power. God is good and present everywhere. So I figured from that, so if God is the source and creator of all, then I guess God is the source and creator of my prosperity. It just follows suit, doesn't it? And as I said before, how long has it taken me to really understand this? So how do we grow our understanding of this? And look, you are probably all already understanding this. It's probably just little old me who's taken a while to catch up about this prosperity thing. But for me, it's simply, as you would know, taking a good look around us at the magic and the beauty and the majesty of nature. Because if we can connect the prosperity in nature, nature holds that God spirit within it, and it knows intuitively that it's prosperous, and it grows and becomes like the little acorn grows into the most magnificent and magical oak tree. And if we could just grab hold of that little spark of knowledge and understanding within us, we can do the same. So let's take a little look at, you can't take a look, sorry, unless you can see from a very long distance, but I'm just going to explain, and this is really good for me today, because next week I've had this opportunity to host my own radio show in the US, and I'm going to have to explain things on radio. So, divine order. Okay, girl, you're going to have to explain the image rather than showing people. You know, I can't hold it up on the radio, on the microphone and say, can you see? No. So all these images of nature that I'm about to explain to you hold within them that beauty and prosperity and magnificence and health and wealth and joy, the true God nature. And it is all one and the same. And I hold within me, and you hold within you, that same God nature. So let's take a little look. And I'll just... Now, okay, got imagination ready, girls and boys? Good. Picture. Sitting beside Diamond Creek. Now, even if you haven't sat beside Diamond Creek, just imagine the creek, you know. Okay? Creek. The sun is coming up over the tops of the trees, but there's a little gap between the trees, so the sun is coming through those trees. That beautiful image of sunbeams coming through those trees. And in front of you, the water is just rippling on by, and you are surrounded by a magnificent grass. It's quite tall, and it's green, and it's soft. It's just beautiful. And on the other side of the bank of the creek, there are rocks, and the water is tripling over those rocks. Okay? The sky is just crystal blue above you. What more could you ask for? The prosperity within that image, the crystal blue sky, that energy of the sun, which is just flowing through you in every moment, the grass beneath you, and that water which represents the cleansing and the washing away of all that we need to release. Okay, so that's the first image. Got it, everyone? Second image is that of... I seem to be forever picking up little green feathers on my walks. And, of course, green is the colour of prosperity. So these little feathers, and my feathered friends seem to always be giving me little signs that prosperity, yes, it's here, it's here. It's not coming, it's here. So grab hold of it, pick it up. Give a little dance, give gratitude for that prosperity that you hold in your hand. And what a beautiful gift. And if you could see this little feather, it is totally green. So in your mind, just have it in your hand and just stroke it and feel it, the softness. How that God nature in that little feather, every little tiny part of that feather has been especially made and has grown from that little bird. Wow, how prosperous is that? Next one. Talking about grass, when Jesus taught, he always taught using nature. And I know in the Gospel of Peace from the Essenes, and Jesus brought to them a little pot of wheatgrass growing. I love wheatgrass. I love to have it every day in the morning. It's just so good for you and so healthy. But I'd never really looked at grass in that way until I read the Gospel of Peace from the Essenes. And Jesus held this little pot of grass and he said, just look at it, how it grows and how prosperous it is. And it's drawing everything it needs from the soil. Intuitively, it knows if I grab hold of all this stuff in the soil, I'm going to be amazingly, abundantly prosperous. If we can grab hold of the nutrients within us, the understanding, we will do exactly the same. I mean, how good is that? And I never stopped to think, often we're told about every grain of sand that's on the beach. But I'd never stopped to think, I wonder how many blades of grass there are in the world. Yeah. And had I ever stopped to think that it allows my eyes to look with softness upon the world? Imagine if everything was red, or if everything was, I don't know, some harsh, very harsh colour on our eyes. We'd certainly have to be wearing sunglasses, whereas the green of the grass just allows us that softness, and our eyes are filled with that beauty. So, more prosperity. The next picture is Bill and I, a few months ago, we went out to Marysville, and thank goodness the prosperity there is growing again. Everything's growing. The trees, the forests are growing with beautiful new growth. It's just fabulous. And the houses are being built again, and people are still there and going on with their lives. And, of course, we went to Stevenson's Falls, and I love waterfalls. Oh, I just love waterfalls. And I look at that and I think, if those little drops of water can just stand at the top of that waterfall and just drop down the waterfall over the rocks and in the air and laugh and dance their way down. How prosperous is that? If I could just stand at the top of my waterfall and go, God, you are my one and only source of supply. Here I come. And down the waterfall I go. I could dance my way through the day. So, if God can supply all that is needed for the magnificently coloured leaf to sprout from the wing of a bird, for the waterfall to spill so beautifully down the mountainside, and for an abundance of grass to grow so our eyes and our feet can feel a gentle softness as we walk this planet, I guess God can probably supply me with all that is needed for me to experience true prosperity in my life. But, there's always a but, it takes us truly recognizing God as our source of supply and not looking around ourselves at what is or isn't. I don't know about you, but I know I get myself into a pickle many times about how I'm going to do this or how I'm going to do that or how I'm going to pay for this or how is that going to happen. And, you know, on and on it goes. And I don't stop to, well, hopefully I do now, to know that I have the answer within me right now, right in this moment. So how do I tap into that wonderful, prosperous energy? Well, I begin to think and speak and feel prosperous. And I put God first financially through tithing. Yes, tithing. I mean, I figure that if I can co-create, and I have this amazing, amazing partner to co-create my prosperity with, and I don't take that co-creation partner into consideration in the prosperity that I get, then, you know, how's this going to work? I mean, I figured if you go into business with somebody and you take all the profit and you forget about the partner, the partnership isn't going to last very long, is it? No. So I figured the same way with tithing. If I don't consider my co-creating partner in all of this, then how on earth do I expect this flow to continue? How can we have a fabulous relationship in growing and creating prosperity? And heavens, this partner only asks for 10%, doesn't even ask for 50%, so, you know, that's pretty good. And by understanding and following the law, you know, and loving the law, as Joshua did, we will attract to us more of the same. And we begin to vibrate prosperity in the universe. And I had this fabulous picture to show you. I was sitting beside the creek and I nearly fell into the water. And as I scrambled myself up, I looked down and here in front of me was this rock. And above was a tree leaning sort of across, and it had dropped a big lump of sap down onto the rock below, which had splattered in all directions. And I thought, you know, if I can just feel prosperity and think prosperity, I'm sending those vibrations out in all those directions. And here I am at the centre, I'm the big blob of sap. And it's just going everywhere. So, and the prosperity that I am seeking is seeking me at the same time. So, you know, it's just coming back from all directions. That was a great thought. And the whole world smiles. And I also had this gorgeous picture. I looked up in the sky one day as I was walking home, and here's two little clouds for the eyes, and another little cloud that had made the shape of a mouth. And the whole, I felt like, oh, here I am, and the whole world is smiling. You probably think I'm really crazy. I mean, you know, I sometimes think, yeah. So I think, oh my goodness, you know, here I am in this this wonderful world of prosperity, and it's smiling upon me in every moment. So, yes, I now consider the world that I live in is the real world, and I consider the physical world around me is probably an unreal world. And it's taken me a long time to say out loud, the world I live in is reality. And I don't really care what other people are doing around me, but I'm living in my real world. And the whole world smiles. And it's just a beautiful thought. So I also know that God never gives us a desire without also giving us the means to fulfill that desire. And if we truly recognise God as our one and only source of supply, then whatever I need, it will appear. And it sure has in the last little while.